Picture Antarctica without the ice. River channels, fern meadows, and conifer forests spreading under a low, cold sun that sometimes refuse to rise. In that strange world walked Cryolophosaurus ellioti, a big-bodied theropod crowned with a sideways crest. Its bones surfaced high on Mount Kirkpatrick, near the Beardmore Glacier, locked in volcanic sand and ash. Warmer than today, yet still polar, this land swung between months of bright daylight and months of twilight and darkness. If you're a top predator in that light cycle, you either adapt fast or you fade from the record. We know Cryolophosaurus because a field team hauled fossils from over 12,000 feet up, in air thin enough to sting. The rock is the Hanson Formation, sandstones and tuff laid down by rivers braided through a rifting landscape. In those beds, a skull roof and jaws showed a blend of ancient and advanced features. Not the heaviest killer of history, but early for its kind. An experiment near the base of major theropod branches. Its crest, arcing transversely across the head, announced a face no other predator wore quite the same way. Visual Satch brief. Show a dramatic high-altitude cliff face with embedded bones implied. Cut to Cryolophosaurus close-up crest profile. To set the stage, roll Earth back about 190 to 190 plus million years, early Jurassic time, Cinemurian into Pliensbachian. Gondwana is splitting. Volcanic ash drifts over floodplains. Conifers and ginkgo-like trees anchor wetlands. The climate is greenhouse warm, but latitude still rules the lamps. High southern forests grow in intense summer light, then idle through prolonged winter dimness. Fossil wood from polar regions carries tight rings that scream seasonality. This was not a baking desert. It was a green, moody world where darkness arrived by the month, not the hour. Here's the twist. A polar dinosaur isn't just dealing with cold. It's dealing with time. Light itself. Growth rings in ancient Antarctic woods point to light-limited growth, not deep freeze shutdown. If plants pulse by daylight, herbivores pulse by food, and predators tune to the pulse of the herds. For Cryolophosaurus, that means hunting strategies likely shifted with the calendar. In endless day, bold chases between river bars and forest margins. In drawn-out dusk, closer work in tight cover, listening more, striking shorter. The landscape wrote the schedule. The hunter read it. Let's get under the skin. The skull carried long blade-like teeth and a stiff snout fit for gripping and tearing. Powerful hind limbs and a balancing tail suggest a stride built for surges, short, decisive rushes from cover to open ground. The crest didn't help bite. It probably broadcast identity, health, or dominance, visible across a clearing even in slanted polar light. Display structures thrive where line of sight matters. Between trunks, across gravel bars, above brush. If you can be seen quickly in a maze of boles and mist, you can warn rivals and woo-mates without a costly fight. An ecosystem snapshot sharpens the image. On the same mountain, the basal sauropodomorph Glacialosaurus browsed, likely moving in small groups along river corridors. Where browsers went, predators watched. Volcanic lastic floods occasionally reset the board, burying channels, funneling carcasses, and planting nutrient-rich bars for fresh growth. Cryolophosaurus lived in the reset cycle. Feed, flood, regrow, repeat. Each reset layered ash and sand that later cradled bones, including the holotype that put Antarctica on the dinosaur map as a source of big, meat-eating theropods. Here's our second hook. Geography isn't a wall. It's a test lab. High-latitude dinosaurs show how flexible body plans handle wild light regimes. Cryolophosaurus sits near the root of big theropod lineages with a mosaic of primitive and derived traits. That mix hints at evolutionary experimentation at Earth's edges, traits trying out solutions under seasonal stress. When food windows compress, selection squeezes for efficiency, quick growth spurts, careful energy budgets, and signals that prevent wasteful combat. The crest might be one such signal. Cheap to carry, costly to ignore. What about the water and trees? The Hanson rivers braided around levees and bars, dropping ash-laced sand that hardened into bone-bearing rock. Forests of conifers and seed ferns cast deep shade. Ferns and horsetails carpeted wet flats. The ground underfoot wasn't silent. It creaked, hissed, and squelched. In endless day, glare bounced from channels. In winter dim, the air turned blue-gray. A hunter in that symmetry learned contrast, silhouettes at midday, motion at dusk. A top predator doesn't just see prey. It reads the river and the wind. Here comes the payoff. The crest. Cryolophosaurus wore a transverse ridge that swept side to side across the skull roof. A banner instead of a fin. Chewing didn't make it bigger. Fighting head-on would risk snapping it. So why keep it? The best supported idea is display, species recognition, and social signaling. In a forest where daylight swings from flood to trickle, a high-contrast shape above the eyes is a beacon. It says, me, not you. Mate, not rival, and maybe too strong to test. Form follows message, not menu. Visual, brief. Heroic close-ups of the crest with backlight and shallow depth of field. Show it reading as a bold shape in mixed light. Let's plant this animal in motion. Imagine summer noon, sun low but relentless, shadows long like stretched ropes. Cryolophosaurus steps onto a gravel tongue to strip tender shoots. Cryolophosaurus angles downwind along willow-like undergrowth, crest just breaking the horizon of ferns. A burst, spray, stones, a dragging tail groove, and the chase is a curved sprint, not a marathon. In winter dim, the same hunter waits higher on the bank, listening for splashes, tracking by sound and scent, then lunging short through reeds. 2 seasons, 1 toolkit, tuned to light. Time for a myth-busting turn. Antarctica wasn't an icebox prison for dinosaurs in the early Jurassic. It was a rifted, forested province under a polar sky. Warmth did not cancel seasonality. It sharpened it. Months-long light and darkness shaped when plants grew, when herds moved, and when predators risked energy. Volcanic pulses dusted the system, fertilizing, then choking, then preserving. The Hanson Formation is a film strip of those pulses. Its bones and wood together argue for life, paced by photons more than temperature. Visual brief. Reveal green Antarctica strongly. Lush conifers, fern meadows, ash layers visible in cut banks, Cryolophosaurus moving through. Pull back to the big map. Cryolophosaurus lived when Gondwana's pieces still traded species across broad corridors. Its mix of features fuels debate. Is it closer to Dilophosaur-grade forms or edging toward early Tetaneurans? Different studies place it differently, but all agree it sits near a branching point that fed later giant predators. That makes it a benchmark animal, a flag in time and space, telling us how meat-eating dinosaurs diversified while continents tore down the middle and polar forests learned to breathe by the calendar. Fieldwork makes this story possible. Crews hauled generators and jackhammers up ice slopes to free bones from rock frozen in wind. On Mount Kirkpatrick, the dig season is short, the cold is not, and even summer day feels oblique. Yet every tooth and crest fragment pulled from that cliff teaches how rivers stacked their sands, how ash settled, and how a carcass can become a data point. Science at the poles costs sweat and risk. The payoff is a view of evolution under extreme lighting that no mid-latitude site can offer. Visual see brief. Honor field grit, implied quarry ledge textures and wind. Then back to living reconstruction, moving past similar strata. Let's tighten the behavior lens. In a world with months of dim light, senses that don't depend on color contrast gain value. Hearing soft footfalls on damp sand, smelling a herd trail in cool air that carries scent farther, feeling ground tremor through broad, pliant footpads. None of this needs speculation beyond common predator logic. It's the context that's exotic. A crest may glow in summer glare. In winter dim, it's back up to sound and smell. Versatility beats specialization when the sun itself goes part-time. Visual brief, intimate sensory beats, ear slit, nostril flare, foot pressing into damp sand. Crest, catching brief light. Energy is the currency. Long nights mean longer gaps between easy meals. Big-bodied predators survive that by timing growth and activity. Herbivores bank calories in summer. Predators bank strategy. Wait longer. Walk smarter. Use cover. A riverland with volcanic soils can rebound fast after ashfall. Fresh shoots, fresh grazers, fresh trails. Cryolophosaurus didn't need to be the fastest sprinter. It needed to be the animal that showed up at the right bend at the right hour and spent the least energy before the most payoff. If the sun turned fickle over your home for half the year, would you fight it or learn to hunt the dark?